funky little SUV behind me is the Toyota Yaris Cross.
That's right, underpinning it all is a Yaris, but it's bigger, bolder, brighter, but also very cross. Let's take a closer look. Let's face it, releasing a whole new nameplate this day and age is quite an exciting thing to do. And with this Yaris crossover, Toyota have brought together three of the things they do really well, all under one thing. They've got the hybrid that this is now in its 4th generation. They've got the SUVs, which they just do a multiple of them. They're really good, and also they're small cars. So the Yaris being the absolute pinnacle as far as their small car goes, this is a great version of those three put together. Size wise, it is bigger, so it sits just on a slightly bigger frame than the Yaris, but overall it's 240 millimeters longer, it's 85 millimeters wider, and actually 70 mils taller, so it is quite substantial. And all of that translates obviously in the inside, which Matthew will show you around in a minute. But let's take a closer look around. Up front, design-wise, Toyota have been really creative. I mean, this has got a 3-dimensional face to it, and realistically, it reminds me, I don't know if any of you guys watch the Magic Roundabout, but Dougal off of there, with this should be a blackened out nose, but it's just kind of really protruding and just really funky, and I don't know, where's Florence and all that sort of stuff, but if you knew what that is, you'll know. Rest of it, LED headlights, some DRLs that are LED, these go directly straight down, and plenty of character around here, around the grille and around the airflow going up into it. Really cool. Obviously the Toyota blue sign, that shows that it's a hybrid, and as I say, this really does have that 4th generation hybrid, which adds that extra little bit of power and plenty of more economy. Round the side, our review model is in brass gold metallic, and it's a really big standout in, I don't know, in any car park. I mean, look at it. There's some protective coating on the wheel arches here over the shroud, the 18-inch wheels. This protection goes down on the sills that actually has the Yaris Cross, I don't know, embossed in there. This is kind of cool. The character line that comes from the rear door all the way down to down to the front cabin. It's just a really nice flow. Apparently this is supposed to accentuate the fact that it's very roomy inside. Again, we'll get to that, but I don't know, once again, it's kind of different. It's something rising at the back, kind of cool. Round the back, it's got a roofline spoiler, which is cool. Blackened out rear glass. These LED lights fit in with this sort of full width light bar, which is actually, I don't know, this is sort of taken from the 80s and now sort of coming back in fashion, so in vogue even. Kind of cool. The rear bumper actually sits really high, and also this comes with a kicker tailgate. It's got 40, 20, 40 split seats that gains entry to 390 litres of extra boot space, or actually huge boot space, and also it's multi-leveled. Not bad at all. Let's take a look under the bonnet. As I said, Toyota do hybrids really well, and this Yaris Cross features a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder Atkinson cycle hybrid. It produces 67 kilowatts of power, and also with the hybrid turns it into 85 kilowatts of power, and also 120 newton meters of torque, which is not bad. But more importantly, it's ultra efficient. 3.8 litres per 100. I mean, that's huge. I mean, that just sips fuel. And also, as far as out of the exhaust, only 86 grams of CO2 per kilometre. It's really sort of tight on fuel and tight with emissions. Brilliant. Speaking of tight things, let's go inside and Matthew will show you all around there.
I'm not sure what Dave was calling tight, to be honest, because the car certainly isn't tight, and if anything, it's making me feel quite small in here. I don't know if you can see, but just look at the amount of space I have around me, the amount of headroom here, my shoulder distance from the doors, just how far away the dashboard is. It looks like a small car on the outside, but it's really been designed in here to give it at least the feeling that you have a lot of space. In terms of spaces, shall we say, there's plenty of storage spaces around this cabin here. You've got some good sized door bins for a bottle. You've got two cup holders down the middle here, a third one, though that's actually for the rear passengers. We've got space down there if you want to put your phone. Fits perfectly there, but there's even another space up the top here which was even nicer and just under the AC vent, so keeps your phone cool. You gotta get a decent sized glove box there, and even these little cubbies where you're supposed to put your hands when you're opening the door, well, there's a little bit of room there, and I presume that's where the key goes, because I can't seem to find any other designated spot around here for the key. But anyway, in terms of the practicalities, there's certainly a lot of storage spaces, as you've just seen. There's a USB charging port here, another one for the driver, there's a 12-volt cigarette lighter there. It's well designed in here, and the materials, or rather the color changes, certainly give you that feeling as well. The top of the dashboard is covered in an extremely soft plastic actually, though top of the door panels not so much. Then you get this change in color where the middle is sort of this weird late 80s 90s maroon kind of color, and it's divided by a little strip of metal that just breaks up the two colors there. Continuing with that late 80s 90s kind of bringing things back into fashion, just like that light bar at the back that Dave pointed out, you'll notice that these semi-leather seats actually have cloth in the middle, and this pattern reminds me of the kind of stuff that you used to find in 90s Toyota cars, you know, stuff like the Chaser or even the Supra for that matter. They had this very distinct bold pattern, though I've got to say the materials in here are certainly a lot better feeling than those in the 90s. The seats especially are very comfortable, the leather on it is soft, there's a little bit of bolstering to it, but it's somewhere where it gives you plenty of support for long drives, and even though this is a city car and you're probably not going to spend too much time in it at once, you can certainly see yourself going on long road trips in this car. So this steering wheel is actually fully leather wrapped, it feels nice to touch, and there's a little bit of thumb grips going on there just to give you that additional sporty feeling. All that black plastic and leather is broken up by the big chrome Toyota badge in front of you there, and this little bit of silver plastic finishing just there. These buttons over here control the screen in front of you there, so if you move the side buttons you can actually look at the various different messages, the settings, you can adjust, you know, all sorts of things to do with the safety systems as well. Speaking of which, it's got a lot, and I'll get to that in a minute. You also get the energy monitor, of course, shows you how much hybrid power you're using, how you're recharging the battery, and the trip and all that kind of basic stuff. The buttons on here as well, you can use it to accept calls and, you know, reduce the volume, stuff like that, which again, infotainment screen's pretty good, I'll get to that in a minute. On the other side here, you've got all the controls you need for the adaptive cruise control system, which is a real surprise in a car like this, and it even monitors the speed signs as you go past. The dashboard up here, you get all your warning lights at the top in a little neat cluster there. That's very nice for somebody who's organized like me. You get the speed on the right side with your temperature gauge and your fuel gauge, and on the left side there you get the gear you're in, and of course that all-important hybrid meter. Shows you whether you're in charging, eco mode, or really putting the power down. It's the stock standards Toyota system, so you do get your navigation, audio system, and phone connectivity on here. It's also got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is really neat in a car like this. And it feels great to touch, really simple to use, and everything that we've come to expect across the Toyota range, it's all here. Now, this car is obviously quite large in the front and the rear, so let's hop in the back and see how much truth there is to that. So once you're in the back here, the first thing you'll notice probably is that this shoulder line over here rises quite high, which looks nice and sort of gives it a strong line from the outside. But on the inside here, it might be a little bit problematic for children who won't be able to see out the window. Speaking of children, there's obviously ISOFIX points all along the back bench over here. And just the feeling of space here actually is really good, because in typical tarmac life fashion, this seat is pushed all the way back and as low as it can go, and my knees are up against it, but it is soft and it doesn't make me feel cramped. I've got plenty of foot-room down there, a load of headroom. Frankly, I could be heaps taller and this car would still accommodate me. And just the leather and the fabric seats in here are really comfortable, and the way they're shaped, you feel almost cocooned by this softness that they offer. Obviously, again, for the first time, the seats at the back here split 40-20-40, which means that you can drop the middle seat down and use it as an armrest. It's even got 2 cup holders in the middle here. Speaking of things that, you know, are ingenious and quite smartly designed, it's the way this car drives and the way it handles its power and uses the hybrid system. So let's take it for a drive and show you what that's like.
So, can you hear that? No, nothing. That is the sound of a hybrid doing its job, and that's what's so cool about this hybrid vehicle. So we're actually going around a little cul-de-sac in, I don't know, Auckland suburbia, and you know, when we're doing low revs and stuff like that, all we're doing is just on battery power. It's great, and that's what adds to this super cool 3.8 litres of fuel economy per 100 litres. I mean, that per 100 k's, that's really low.
So yeah, this Yaris is a super quiet place to be, and as we know, it's nothing new from Toyota. They are very good at making these hybrids, and as I guess sales from the Prius and the Camry hybrid and all the Lexus hybrids show, that, you know, these cars are popular and they do sell, and certainly adding that mix to the Yaris now opens up a whole new frontier for Toyota.
Actually, it does make me wonder whether the likes of the Prius is actually, their days are numbered, because having that technology that was so revolutionary back then, now into cars that are, I don't know, more palatable, arguably, I think this is the way forward.
And what they've done with the ever popular Yaris, I mean, it's a fun car. It's got, you know, that nice chassis, and it's always been a bit of a playful younger sibling to the Corolla, and now they've just beefed up its suspension and made it frankly even more funky. The Yaris Cross looks so distinct from the outside. It's certainly got people will have a love-hate sort of relationship with this car.
Well, at the moment, I've got quite the love for it. I mean, the Yaris itself is such a great platform, as you say, and I've really enjoyed driving the Yaris hatch, the GI Yaris, the non-hybrid Yaris, the hybrid Yaris, and now the hybrid Yaris Cross. Good grief, they're getting a lot out of this platform. But this is a really good vehicle. The seating position's nice. You know, you're that little bit more elevated, there's a little bit more around you, and I don't know, it's very comfortable. Visibility wise, I can see everywhere. It's, you know, really open, really easy to see around.
And I mean, sitting in the passenger seat here, well, there's no feeling of being claustrophobic or anything, because the cabin is so light filled, and again, you know, you get plenty of headroom, plenty of room around you. Look how much space there is between us. Remember, this is a little car on stilts.
Yeah, that's an easy way to put it. The technology is huge. There's loads, you know, everything from blind spot to a great camera system to I mean, adaptive cruise control, as you say, is really cool for this sort of compact small SUV area. And sure, you're not going to go off-road with it realistically, although there is a four-wheel drive version somewhere. You know, you're taking your life in your hands, but certainly when it comes to normal, I know, stamping an SUV on a small car, this is a good option.
But just like the Yaris has always been a sort of trendy car, this is very much in trend right now. This slightly beefed up hatchback, which is the perfect sort of city commuter car, because it gives you the fuel economy. You never need to worry about steep driveways or bumps and that sort of stuff. It's a great city car.
Performance wise, you know, there's a little bit of oomph to it. It's not massive, it's not, you know, bone shakingly fast, but you know, there's enough to get you around town, and also not bad on the open road. And the cornering is actually really good. The tires squeal when you want to, if you want to have a little bit of fun and push it too far into roundabouts, which I can neither confirm or deny I do. And you know, the turning circle is great. It's really quite tight, so as Matthew says, perfect for, I don't know, inner city turns, and when you've gone the wrong way because your navigation hasn't sent you the right way or something. I don't know.
I did manage to get us lost earlier, but that wasn't any of the fault of the sat nav. That was more my fault personally.
It's smooth, it's comfortable, it's a nice drive, and the steering wheel feels nice. And like I say, the data you get from the, you know, when it's charging and stuff like that is really good. And it's, you know, there's plenty of information, plenty of data.
And as I said earlier, Toyota are no novice to this sort of hybrid market. Though I will say one thing that I guess you could find fault in here, though I'm not going to talk about plastics because this is the Yaris. It's the, you know, the smallest Toyota you can have basically, so you'd be a fool to complain about that stuff. It's expected in a car like this. But what kind of my bugbear with this car is where the door handle is, because that whole cluster there is in such an awkward place and it just doesn't feel right. By instinct you go for the top of the door panel, and you almost have to retrain yourself into getting to that lower handle.
Yeah, I think it's almost over-engineered. I agree. It's sort of, it's clever for the sake of being over clever, but you know, the rest of the vehicle makes up for it. It's not bad at all.
It's definitely hard to fault this car. It's as trendy and desirable as, you know, a Yaris can be, and this new platform makes it even more so.
So there you have it, the all-new, completely brand new Yaris Cross. It is a city-dwelling SUV or small SUV, compact SUV. But the things I really like are the fact of that this gearbox is the ECVT is nice, and also that sound of the 3-cylinder is it's a really nice touch. It's just off balance. I don't know, just makes it sound bigger than it is.
I've got to say probably my favorite thing about this car is the fact that the looks are so bold, and you know, a world of beige SUVs, this is a real standout there. It's, you know, you either love it or you hate it, and frankly, I think there's lots to love here.
It's the magic roundabout. It's magic. Thanks for watching. There'll be a subscription somewhere around here.
Make sure you give us a like and leave a comment as well if you liked our video, or even if you didn't like it. I'm sure you'd have a love-hate relationship with us as well.
See you soon.